Chris Lynch Local News with Boxman. Buy or hire our shipping containers, both new and used, available right here in Christchurch.
And joining me now is New Zealand First Leader Winston Peters. Nice to see you. How are you?
We're very good. It's been a long campaign, as we know, and we left Hokitika this morning, and we've been in Christchurch all day, and it's going great.
I was looking, as I was saying to you off air, I was looking at your schedule, and you are going all over New Zealand. I felt tired looking at it. You're feeling like it's coming to an end, or you're rearing to go?
Well, actually, we said it would be great if it was another 3 weeks. We could really wrap this up pretty good. But, it's the case of a country the size of the UK. We've got to get around it as hard as we can.
I want to talk about, by the way, the reception you have been getting in Christchurch, because that's where you've been over the weekend. But I want to ask a couple of other questions too that I think are quite important at the moment. Mr. Peters, over 11,000 health workers received vaccine exemptions while the public was being urged to vaccinate. Now, in an official Information Act request which has been released, Matt Hennett from Te Whatu Ora confirmed 103 applications covering these workers from 13th of November to 2021 to 26th of September 2022. What's your reaction to this?
I had great difficulty believing it was true, but I understand it is true, which shows the discrimination that went on, where people were just mandated out of their jobs whilst these exemptions were taking place. And there were the odd cases that were challenging this, and 2 of them were successful. But this is a mass disclosure of deception and discrimination, and it's just not a matter of being sort of a conspiracy theorist or going down a rabbit hole. If the mainstream media can't see how seriously dysfunctional and discriminatory it was towards people who had a legitimate purpose to have the right to say, I don't agree, then they don't deserve to be in their jobs. That's the mainstream media. I mean, this is awful. When you saw that, I thought this has got to be a fix. It's got to be somebody trying to put out misinformation. And on further investigation.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, Winston, I thought the same. I was looking at it. It looked legitimate. I made some calls to the Ministry of Health. They said they couldn't comment. You have to talk to Te Whatu Ora. Te Whatu Ora said you have put an official Information Act request because the questions were too in-depth. I put in a request to another Te Whatu Ora organisation or a subsidiary, and they said, we can't answer those questions. And the Minister of Health press office said to me, you have to go back to the Ministry of Health for those comments because they were too much of an operational matter, they said. So I thought, well, we must be onto something if things are going round in circles. Now, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. It may turn out to be not quite as bad.
We're a democracy, and this is a government that claimed it would be the most transparent ever. Now you see what a lie that was. And worse still, didn't even strive to be transparent, thought that they could cover it up and get away with it. Thank heavens that this information is out now.
I want to move on to this taxpayer union courier poll that was out this morning, I understand, and this poll apparently suggests that New Zealanders doubt your claim that New Zealand First wouldn't support Labour's return to government. What's your response to that?
I don't have any time for that courier poll because I caught them during this campaign putting out a poll which didn't have New Zealand First on it. I caught them out, and 5 hours later they tried to say I was a mistake. I'm sorry, I've got the transcript of my information where I said this is appalling. Can't you guys even be honest about it? So on that matter, let me tell you this. If they don't know me by now, they never will.
You've already stated, of course, on Twitter over the past couple of days too that you won't work with Labour. I guess there's no love lost between you and Labour when you've got Chris Hipkins stating that, and I quote, Winston Peters and New Zealand First values aren't compatible with Labour's. I wonder what your thoughts were on those comments.
Can I just say, and you know why, Mr. Hipkins? Because your values and your present Labour Party values, as Chris Trotter wrote in a very insightful article recently, are not Labour's values either. You've forgotten the ordinary man and woman. We've got a cost of living crisis, and day after day, Mr. Hipkins, you're appearing on TV eating sausage rolls. In a cost of living crisis, you can't get anything right. And you're right about your values not being mine. Thank heavens for that. But there are people in the old National Labour Party who would say Winston Peters' values are more like mine.
I get the impression, not with all Labour Party MPs, but it seems like they're being influenced by the radicals on social media, the radicals on Twitter, and perhaps they've missed or misread the mood of New Zealanders. I say that judging by the current political polls. What do you say, and what do you think? I don't want to spend this entire time talking about why Labour's falling in the polls, but what do you think has gone wrong for them?
Yes, because they've just forgotten that the democracy is about the people, and they've run an elitist platform of policies which aren't connecting to real New Zealanders. 30% are hard up against on the cost of living. Another 40% will say we have to make some serious adjustments to get by. That's 70% of New Zealanders, and they're not making any connection with them whatsoever. And that's disappointing, but I'm saying to Labour voters, look, Labour's stuffed. And rightly so. But you might as well vote for Winston Peters and New Zealand First if you want somebody to be in the room making sure that governance is for all the people and not an elite, whether it be on the far left or the far right.
Mr. Peters, after meeting many New Zealanders with your horrific schedule up and down New Zealand, including Christchurch over the weekend, what has surprised you in terms of what people are saying about the state of New Zealand? What's the feedback you're hearing that has surprised you?
I can't say that we've monitored like that other than to say the reception has been marvellous, especially, most amazingly, from young people. There is also that quiet person that's looking almost like he's angry with you, but all he wants to say in his quiet voice is, get rid of these guys as hard as you can, but they're whispering it to me. And so they don't trust the actual system to speak out loud. And that's why we know there's a surge on, and there'll be a big change on election day.
You've mentioned in the past previously, and I'm paraphrasing here, about democracies being threatened by racism, separatism and social engineering. Can you just outline specifically what you mean? Because a Herald poll did say that many New Zealanders felt like never before this country has felt divided.
Well, it's deliberate. They set out to undermine the Treaty of Waitangi by restating what it was when it's totally a falsity with it they're setting out. The four premises they're setting out was that before the white man arrived, this was a peaceful paradise. Second, that the Maori entered a partnership with the Queen Victoria on the 6th of February 1840, when no one in the UK or in the empire upon which the sun never set was in a partnership. The third thing they say is we never ceded sovereignty, and this is colossal stuff now. And the fourth thing is on that day, co-governance began. All that debunked by famous scholars and politicians like Shapa Ngata, Pomai, Samari Pomai, Sir Peter Buck, a famous anthropologist, and before him a famous politician called Carroll, all Maori, all of whom said nothing of the sort, even wrote books about it. But no, here comes out of the Sociological Department University this new construction based on a massive lie. And it is worse than this. It's not just racism and apartheid, it is elitism of the very worst sort. And boy, if you look around the world, there are countries where the elite run things and the mass majority are conformist or they're dictated to. There's no democracy. Now, they've done their best in the mainstream media to try and defend this because they've been part of it. In their apologetic way, they've handled it. Instead of inspecting these things, they've just gone on saying, it's fine. Why are you saying things? If you're saying that, you're racist. No, it's not. Look, we just found out the Marine and Coastal Areas legislation in the Christchurch Press today is setting out the fact that it's illegal. Now, that bill came in because they just thought they would repeal what I put up together with Ellen Clark and Cullen called the foreshore and seabed legislation. So we had 6 years of absolute peace, and all of a sudden John Key decided he and Finnison knew better. Here it comes, just yesterday, the court's saying it's illegal. What a mess. But they signed up to the UN declaration that I stopped as well. And they also started the Auckland Super City under Labour, it's under National Enact, which had unelected Maori wards. In the South Island, the whole of the water is going to be controlled by Ngā Tahu. Forget about all the rest of the people from Maoridom around down here as well, and all the rest of the Europeans and every other South Islander. No. And this is writ large over and over again in every system. It's far wider than you think. It's far more sinister than you think. And this election is one of those inflection moments, whether we either fix it or we're heading to the third world. That's how important it is.
Mr. Peters, police reported several days ago that the Māori Party candidate's home wasn't racially targeted or ram-raided, as claimed by the candidate.
To the people who ram-raided my house.
In fact, they went on to blame you and your so-called rhetoric. I wondered what your take is on the Māori Party's credibility after the police, in a roundabout way, suggested that what was espoused by the candidate and the Maori Party was bullshit.
Oh, look, this is a publicity stunt. And when Rebecca White had a go at me Saturday morning a week ago, I said to her, this was not a home invasion. This was not a home invasion. I knew it the moment I heard about it. And along come the police that have debunked the whole thing as kindly as they can. And they've actually framed it as a political advertising stunt. But there's a precedent in the United States where a similar political claim was made. All these things tragically happened to them, and they found out within very quick time. Was it Jesse Smollett? The Jesse Smollett case, right, that it was total bull dust. Total bull dust. When I heard it, I thought, be careful. It won't be a home invasion because she wasn't home.
Good evening. New Zealand is a small country. This has made it difficult for its voice to be heard internationally.
Finally, Mr. Peters, you have had an illustrious career in politics. I wondered why you would bother going back or wanting to get back into the Parliament building when you could be relaxing, chilling out, doing your own thing.
A whole lot of people much closer than me keep asking me that, and for good reasons. And I can think of all the great things, out on the boat, enjoying yourself, and all the things that go with freedom. But whether you believe me or not, or whether anybody viewing this believes me or not, I'm on a mission because I think this is an inflection election. We just have to win, but not just to change the government. We've got to get rid of these policies. We have got to clean the system up and go back to valuing all of our DNA. Whether you're half English, half Maori, half Samoan, it doesn't matter. You're here now legally. I want one country, one people, one flag, one law for everybody, and one vote where every vote is of equal value. When I hear somebody from the Maori Party saying that they've got superior DNA, which is what the Party Maori leader said, I'm just shocked by that. Shocked not by his stupidity, but shocked by the way the mainstream media was browbeaten into accepting that for the disgrace it is. Or then the other leader, Marama Davison, said that all violence is from cis white men.
I am a prevention violence minister, and I know who causes violence in the world. It is white cis men.
Yeah, wow.
That is white cis men.
Okay, but
you see what happened there? If I would have said something like that there, I would have been scoffed out of town, but no, over and over again it's happening. So we have to also have a royal commission and fix up our media.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? New Zealand First leader Winston Peters, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And you know what? It's great to have an interview with somebody who's interested in what we've got to say and not trying to knock us off every time we open our mouth.
I do try.